Fred, I know you well enough to know you're kind of a taciturn guy, but I really want to bring you in on this. I mean, you were not only in television, which is what you're known for, but you were in the Stilettos, which became Blondie, so you're in an early version of Blondie. I mean, the CB scene, the stuff that Tommy's talking about, Max's, so on. Can you just offer your own take on that? I mean, I love the idea of you coming into the band in mutton chops and being told to cut them off. And if anybody, there is a photograph. I didn't bring it. It's in a book on Blondie called Making Tracks, which is hard to find now. But there's a picture of Elda, looks fantastic, and she's I guess, what is it? Is it Fred's got his arms around Debbie Harry, because it was the 3 boys and the 3 girls. Fred's got his arms around Debbie Harry, and Chris Stein's got his arms around you. Like the 3 women are in the front and the 3 guys are at the back with their arms kind of across the women's upper bodies, and yours were around Debbie's. But yeah, talk a little bit. Your own view of coming down to this, and maybe coming down to it as a semi-pro musician. How this all seems to you. Did you say, "Oh my God, this is a," like you was quoted in the book as saying, "Yeah, this is something happened."
Yeah, well, it was. The whole thing was just dumb luck, for me. Getting into the audition for the Stilettos, and then going on with Blondie, and then joining television, which was really what I was into growing up. My first band was when I was 13 was the Auroras, which was all instrumental, just Love Adventures, that kind of thing. So I was really into guitar bands, and I joined television, and because when I first saw them, I said, "Wow, that was a guitar band." And so I was just lucky to play with a couple of great musicians and a lot of talented people along the way.
And Elda, I've just realised while we're talking, there's a quote that I don't think I used in the book, or I may have done, but these bands started taking off, and Blondie took off, and there's a couple of quotes in the book that I hope you're comfortable with, because it's hard for groups to break up and for one half to kind of go on and the other half not to go on. But you gave me this quote about how actually there's a point at which things got very normal at CBGB's, as in regular rock and roll, and you had no interest in that. And I was saying earlier, I try and end my chapters when the scene takes off, and your quote was, like everybody's now got to play their own songs, and have one boyfriend and so on. It's like you were like happy not to be part of this, like, oh, let's all go and please the record company's vibe, if that's what the case was.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you live a life like I did, when in the '60s and being in the underground, and your best friend is Hollywood Lawn, and the love of your life. By the way, my 2 grandchildren are over there, and his grandchildren. Such outrageous people, and you live such an intensely autistic life. It does begin to become boring. And maybe it's because I'm not just a musician. Maybe because I write and I paint and I sing and I do a lot of different things. I mean, I went to art school, so really my bent was more to be an artist. So when things became sort of regimented at CBGB's, I mean, I was really happy about the Ramones happening and television happening and those people going on to do what they were doing. But for me, the scene got boring. It got a little boring. It just was like, well, just exactly that. I don't want to have one boyfriend and, try to get a record deal. I mean, that was not what my interest was. My interest was in creating. And so, the other thing, too, was that it became very anti-political, to bring it back to your era. In the '60s, one of the reasons I went to art school was because I realized if I tried to become politically active, I'd probably get my head bashed in, okay, because I have a big mouth. And so I figured the better way to do it is to try to express yourself artistically. So, in this, also what happened is in the '70s, like 76, 75, CBGB's was all about, the facade of what was happening there. And I was playing down the street in this place where the Yippies had opened up. We used to do Rock Against Racism in Central Park, and people looked down on me for it. And I was like, well, I don't care, I'm going to do My thing, I'm going to do what I believe is you know, good for what my life is about, you know, and I was not tied to the imagery of CBGBs, because for a lot of people it became a trap. I mean, there are people I know now who live in New York City that, you know, CBGBs is gone, but they'll play, you know, they're still living that same life, you know.
That actually brings me to what we're going to do. We have the room till 7, but actually there was a concert here this evening, and they need to set up for the sound check, and we hopefully still have wine, and we may or may not still have food. But I think everybody here is very happy to keep talking, but we can actually do this in a one-on-one and hopefully sell some books as well. So we'll do that. But as a kind of, if you guys are all comfortable with are you okay with kind of chat at the back of the room?
Sure.
Yeah. So, but just then as a kind of just concluding point from what Elda's saying, and very, very, very quickly, you know, does everybody go down to New York City enough to say that it's still got that magic? Because one thing I got from doing this book, every single generation I spoke to was like, we had it the best. You know, these kids today, they don't know how lucky we were. And my own sense is I still go down to the city and think it's still great for everybody who's you know, every generation has its, you know, has its peak time. Barry, are we really...
No, I was thinking maybe you should stay there and we'll sell the books and bring them up to you, and anyone can autograph them.
Oh, okay. So with the setup for the like, I mean, we need to stop.
Behind you. Yeah.
Okay. So can I at least run down this like final question? Okay. So let me. Yeah, you can absolutely.
There's a book called Rip It Up and Start Again by someone I don't remember.
Yeah.
That the British version is like maybe a third or half longer.
Yeah, it is.
Might you consider that? Is there only an American version right now?
No, there will be a British version, but no, that wasn't the plan. But you know what? I can talk about that one-on-one. So you know what we'll do then, given the way that it's already just breaking down, if people want to come up and just chat, I guess we'll turn the mics off and sign some books. And can I just again say, can we just have a round of applause? I feel like we could have talked all night long. I really want to